Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Kelly Kohls, the Executive Director of the National School Board Leadership Council. And tonight we have a special speaker. And we came across an article that he had written, an opinion piece that he had written. And we thought, that's exactly what we're all thinking. And we need to have this conversation. We need to make the conversation go viral. We want lots of people to hear the truth and the facts and stop this rhetoric about creating more bureaucracy. It's a problem. Our students need to be protected. Corey and I and Lauren are all here. Our main purpose for the National School Board Leadership Council is to train school board members to be better than they've been. Agreed, they've been a problem because they've been coached to be nothing but feckless bobbleheads. We're done with that. We're training school board members to be good stewards of their community's dollar, to absolutely laser focus on academic outcomes and increasing them, and to keep the transparency with their community that we're expected to keep. So that's what we do here at NSBLC. Tonight's special guest is Dejan Morris, and he lives far from the rest of us, way up there, and I'm going to have him talk about himself. I much prefer to let people give us their own bio because they're going to be accurate, much better than me reading one. So Dejan, you've got the floor. Can you tell us about yourself?
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelly, and everyone who is here today. I appreciate the opportunity to be on. So my name is Dejan Morris. I am a trustee with the Board of Education for the Jersey City Board of Education. This is my second year, my first term. Prior to being a trustee, I was a 20-year veteran of the Jersey City Police Department, where I raised to the rank of detective. And also I worked in the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office as detective, but I have also worked in a political aspect as chief of staff to at least 4 elected officials, both state, county, and municipal government. So that's why me being on this board kind of like balances it out, because I know the political side of it, as well as the educational policy side of it, and somehow or another, it combines together and it works out. So I'm excited to be here today, excited for the opportunity to be a part of this great conversation that's well needed. And I'm really happy that you made the statement in regards to school board members that are, I believe you said bobbleheads, but I want to use the term puppets because we have that a lot. And I explained, I was endorsed by the teachers union, the JCEA here in Jersey City. And I explained to the president when they wanted me to run that I am an independent thinker and that the only call that I should receive from him is that you're doing a good job. So, and we had a clear understanding on that, and we have the best relationship today because we keep it professional. So, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I was grateful that you said, yes, I'll get on there and talk with you guys. So I'm grateful for that. And it does surprise me that someone like you, who's holding the system accountable, and we've talked about it on the phone, that you're really doing what a school board member should do, but that would be okay with the teachers union, because most of our school board members, if they try to hold the system accountable, the majority of the pushback is from the teachers union.
Well,
So
you do realize that the reason that is because a lot of the people that they select do not know politics. They handpick these people to be puppets.
right.
And yeah, so I have experience. When they started talking that nonsense, I immediately shut them down and let them know that this is not that type of program.
Yeah.
And because I have my own stock, and my own equity in the community. So they needed me.
Ah, I like that. You just said something, Corey. We've never used that terminology before. I have equity. I have my own stock invested. I'm invested in this community, and I cherish the thought of representing them. I'm honored to be chosen to represent them, and I will represent them. I will not be bullied out of that position, because that's what happens, Dejan. I don't know if you guys get the bullying that most board members around here do. The bullying that makes them just kind of cower and wilt and just be.
Well, we get that, but Kelly, I think you should also realize I just retired from the police department, so I'm kind of hard to intimidate. So,
yay, we need more like you, that's for sure. But tell us about the article we came across. Was quite interesting. And of course, we're doing this kind of thing the whole time we're reading it.
Mhm.
But tell us about your opinion piece that you wrote and had published, and it went viral. Tell us what's going
So,
on.
so we have a state senator from the 32nd district here in the state of New Jersey. His name is Raj Mukherjee, and he is a part of what we call we in the state of New Jersey. We have a political machine, and basically what it is the line candidates who are usually on either the A or the B line, and they're supported by the Hudson County Democratic Organization, which is a party. And normally, what happens in elections, they don't have a problem with winning, but there is a consequence that you have to pay by being on this line. It means that you are beholding to a political boss. So you are given instructions in your position that you just won because you couldn't win by yourself because those votes didn't belong to you. It belonged to the organization. So he is what I call a party boss or alleged party boss. And what's happened in previous times in the city of Jersey City, with our Board of Education, our budget is $1.2 billion. We service over
Wow.
28, we service over 28 to 29,000 scholars, and we are responsible for maintaining over 48 facilities. And we also have 6,000 employees. So with that comes a large budget. Unfortunately, the city of Jersey City's budget is only like 740 million. So our budget supersedes the city's budget. And so what happens is because the Board of Education is the governing body over the education department, that means that the municipal, the state, and the county government does not have a hand, and I like to call the cookie jar. So they can't control hiring, they can't control firing, they can't control what money is being diverted to what form of curriculum or what we needed. It's all solely in the hands of the elected Board of Trustees. So what's happening is because this particular senator feels powerless when it comes to this particular area, because it is a large budget and they don't have control over it, what his plan is, because I was approached, and I could assume that some of my colleagues were approached as well, on getting on board with certain line items or policies, and it was denounced. So I'm assuming that the reason why he wanted to change the law, whereas 3 council people and a mayor would have the opportunity to appoint 3 trustees, and then the public would have the opportunity to elect 3. Now, I don't know about any other board, but in our board system, it's called a quorum. As long as you have 5 votes, you have a quorum. And the last time I checked, 3 plus 3 is 6. So that means that the mayor and the city council would have full control over the board, meaning that the elected trustees would be in the minority and we wouldn't have a say. So, you know, none of the other trustees spoke up about this because they're all politically connected. I am politically connected, but I stand as an independent in my support for whoever it is that I am, that I'm supporting. So when I wrote the op-ed, of course I received phone calls about it, but I don't really care like what people say. But at the end of the day, I follow my heart and I follow my integrity because I believe that's what the people voted for. So when he attempted to have this done, it was actually in committee being discussed. Myself and the mayoral candidate for Jersey City, Bill O'Day, wrote an op-ed. And after I wrote mine, because mine was not very politically savvy, it was a little, I allowed some of my emotion to boil over into it, which it needed to. And immediately after my op-ed went up and it went public, he rescinded his bill from committee. So, you know, I think what it was is because the truth was out, I made sure I implemented the truth in my op-ed. And he then came later and said in a press conference that he was just throwing it out there to filter to see how the waters would take it or how the community would take it. And the community spoke because as their advocate, I spoke on their behalf and made it quite clear that this is not something that's going to happen. And we will fight this until the very end. So, you know, so that's how it all originated.
John, it sounds like you're connecting it to money.
Oh, it is. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
It's all about the money.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, we have our budget is give or take, I think it might be like $1.3 billion.
Yeah.
And we're the second largest city in the state of New Jersey, and we're the second largest district in the state of New Jersey outside of Newark. And so it is about the money.
Yeah.
Just think about it, Kelly. You have $1 billion that, in the way our system is made up, is the money that's given to us federally is filtered from the governor's office to the mayor's office to the Board of Education. So the mayor's office is seeing this money being funneled through to us, and he can't touch it.
Mhm.
So, they want to have their hand in the money. And if you have a quorum, when I was president of the Board of Education last year, I didn't allow the administration, nor did I allow any outside influence to influence my superintendent, because I informed my superintendent from the very beginning, you don't work for them, you work for the board. Let's be clear. So, and she was loyal and still is loyal to the board and also to the rules and policies that we have in place. They didn't really like me as president last year.
No, I can imagine. You're way too insisting on following the proper procedures and doing your job. And that's all we do, Jajan, right here at National School Board Leadership Council, is we train school board members. I don't know if you've been to our website yet, but it's nsblc.us. We have at least 80 videos on our Rumble channel, and we talk about every one of these webinars is informing school board members. Here's a model. Jajan is a good model of what you do as a school board member. You fight the bureaucracy. You don't invite it. You don't sit there like you've got tape over your mouth. Say it, because your constituents deserve to be represented. Jajan, you're doing that. That paper you wrote was very telling. So your emotions came out. I'm saying good for you. They should have. Corey, you wanted to say something. Corey.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that you wrote the op-ed. Many of the board members that we see nationwide are afraid to use their voices. And they often come to us asking for permission to, and we just tell them, like, whether you've got a website or a Facebook profile, you don't have to give everybody else a platform. And you found a way to do it where you didn't have to give everybody else a platform, but you put your voice out there representing your constituents. I think that's amazing, and you did it fearlessly, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you. Kelly and Corey, what I've learned is when I first became a board member, are you guys familiar with the NJSBA?
Yes.
So, here's my problem. And I think that many trustees across the United States can agree with me. They try to catch you when you're brand new and brainwash you into believing that you have limited power, that you are supposed to fit into this corner, into this little box, and you can't do this and you can't do that. So just imagine someone who is opposite to me, who has absolutely no political experience, coming into this environment, being told by these officials or whatever they call themselves, and saying, hey, you have to do this, the superintendent has this. No, that is not it. You are the governing body over the Board of Education. The superintendent reports to you. A lot of these trustees believe that they report to the superintendent.
Yep.
Because the NJSBA embeds that into you. They bring you out to like a weekend. Like I went, drinks and everything. It was amazing. Like they bring you out and they wine and dine you, and then they bring you into these courses and they tell you what you can and cannot do and what's a violation. And then they use ethics charges as a bullying technique.
Jajan, you're preaching you're singing our song. You're preaching our sermon. We say that all the time. My whole testimony, the reason I'm here, the reason I've done it for 12 years, I've been training school board members on what their job really is because OSBA, I'm in Ohio School Board Association, did that to us. If you go to YouTube, put my name in there, you'll see a bunch of my presentations. I start them out by telling them what OSBA did. They bring you to a weekend. They have you drink their Kool-Aid.
Some good Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Kool-Aid's good.
That whole room full of people that were brand new school board members, I kept looking around thinking, are you guys buying this nonsense?
And they
were buying it. They were going, oh, that's my job? Okay, I'm so glad you told me. No.
I told the president of New Jersey's NJSB, I said, I'm going to be taking over my board in my first year. She's like, oh, you can't do that. I said, I'm going to do it. She's like, oh, you need to go speak to legal. No, that's your legal. It has done. You want to hear something funny? Like when I took over the Board of Education, the superintendent and all of the administration got up and walked out. right? Because a lot of people don't realize that we operate under Robert rules of order. So I got rid of the current president. She got up and left or whatever. And then she had the audacity to try to report me to the education commissioner. And the education commissioner had to write her a letter back and say, we have no authority over them. They are elected. You have to listen to them. So they had to come back to me and find out what I wanted in order for us to have a functioning district.
I love it. You asserted what your job is. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Corey, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know real quick, before the webinar tonight, did you get on our website and like research us and like
I did.
all the right things to tell us? Because
No.
Because you're singing our song.
No, I glanced at it, but I really, no, this is me. This is real life. Like, this
Yeah.
is like,
And I'm so grateful because
Yeah.
you're in a fairly blue state, right?
no, it is blue.
It is. It's blue. Solid blue. Probably
Yeah,
navy
solid
blue.
blue. Yeah,
Navy
solid
blue.
blue.
So, and often when I find people in blue states, our school board members across the nation who are our membership, they just struggle to
Yeah.
bring common sense, to bring leadership, to bring governance, common sense governance that really
Yeah.
puts the students first.
Yeah.
I've got people in Oregon really struggling, people in Minnesota really struggling, Wisconsin just struggling, Illinois, and even people in Texas, who'd imagine, people in Texas, people in Ohio. Ohio's, I'd say, purple. Texas is supposedly red, but still we have school board members getting scorned for getting outside that rigid box set by the school board association. I think
It's control.
it's control. And the
Yeah.
teachers union, I think, owns them. I've always called them an arm of the teachers union. Do you think that's
Absolutely.
okay? And
Here,
they
my
wrote
thing is
me.
this.
Go
My
ahead.
thing is this: our district has probably 9 unions, but our strongest union is the teachers union.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the things that I tried to do as president last year is I tried to make it a fair playing ground. And just because, our scholars are being educated by the people from this union does not make them better than our maintenance union or our other unions that we have. Everybody's entitled to equal opportunity and also, bargaining opportunities. But for some reason, the teachers union is so cocky and they feel like they can do whatever they want to do. But at the end of the day, you can't, but it's left up to the leadership of the board on how they instruct the administration to handle.
Now, do you ever sit in on those negotiations?
Yeah, every president is supposed to sit. I would hope every president sits in on those negotiation. That's what collective bargaining is. How can you have collective bargaining on a contract when you only have the superintendent there and you don't have the governing body present?
Well, OSBA said that usually boards don't attend. I mean, they did all this stuff that was stupid. Usually they don't attend. Usually they let their superintendent and legal counsel handle it. You just tell them the goals of the district. And
No,
boy,
they work for me.
when they were doing that, when I asked the rest of my board, who was not like-minded with me at first, if I could sit in on negotiations, and they said no. None of them were sitting on. So when I became board president, I sat in on negotiations, and they went very differently, I think, than they did before. So yeah, I don't know what school boards are being told in every state, but most states that the school board members that Corey and I talk to daily, we're on the phone nonstop trying to coach them through, here's how you get that document. Here's how you should message that.
Listen, Corey, Kelly, these school boards need to go back to the fundamental basics of learning. They need to read, because there's a scripture that says that people die because of lack of knowledge. And when you don't know, you die, right? And a lot of these school boards are being told that they can't do certain things because they don't read. And they don't know what their position is. They don't know what their powers are. Listen, let me tell you something. I had our not my board council, but the corporation council that represents administration bucked at me when I said I was going to attend the meeting. I politely told him, you are not my council. You're the council for the superintendent, so stay in your lane, number one. Number two, I will be sitting in here as president because all of you guys work for me. Let's be clear.
Yeah, love it. See, that's what we want all school board members to know and to start saying. You work for me. You work for me. You work for me.
Because they do.
Don't be confused. how
Well,
this.
you know what? My superintendent knows that she works for me because I just had, when I was president, I had her contract extended, and now she's the highest paid superintendent in the state of New Jersey. It would have never happened had it not been for me. So I think
Yeah,
she's aware of who
yeah,
butters her
yeah.
bread. So,
Yep, yep. You know what I did as a school board member? I had our school district, I had to get board consensus, of course, which I did. And I said, we need to publish on our website our organizational chart. And I said,
mhm,
I wouldn't have been able to sell it if I said, we need to show us at the top, who the boss is. I simply said, and the way it was approved was that we need to show lines of communication so that people know that they can start with the teacher and then move up the ladder and who they move up the ladder to. And so they all said yes. But yes, a lot of my intent was to show the Board of Education at the top, to show all the district employees who's at the top, to show the community who's at the top. Because not that we're going to go in there and mess with the day-to-day process if it's working, but if it's not working, we need to know about it so that we can get the rest of the board informed and get
exactly.
board consensus on changing it. One board member can't make a change, but board
Absolutely.
majority can. And so
Yeah.
you need to convince your other board members we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's devise a solution through governance, and let's
Yeah.
vote on that. And so it
Yeah.
works really well. We got a lot done in my school district, but
Yeah.
you are few and far between. And I'm thinking that in my district, I would always say, well, that doesn't pass my smell test. I would say it to me, it doesn't pass my smell
Mhm,
test. Now I have to go verify what they just told me.
mhm.
And I would
Oh, I
often
read everything.
verify that was the opposite of what they told us. So
Yeah.
you being a detective, people, you don't have to be a detective, but you've been a
Mhm.
detective. Do you think that had something to do with your ability to say, yeah, I know who my boss is, and they're
Absolutely.
out here in the community. I always say I
Yeah.
have one boss.
Yeah.
And
Well, you know what it is, Kelly. The crazy thing about it is that I've been doing police work longer than have been a board member. I've been a police officer for over 20 years.
yeah,
And the crazy part about it is that when I was running last year, I was on the front page of the paper almost every single day for about 4 months because they were trying to put so much dirt on me to try to discourage the community from voting for me because they knew that I was coming in with the type of attitude that was uncontrollable. And my philosophy is bad press is good press, regardless of what type of press it always works in your favor. So what they interpreted as bad press actually turned around being great press because I actually received more votes than I expected. But now it shows because law enforcement is in my blood. It's all I know. And when the lawyers start spitting out laws, I rebuttal it and let them know that that doesn't apply to this particular situation because of the experience I have
yeah.
in the law. So,
That was
it,
helpful. That was
yeah.
helpful that you have that background. But we tell
Hmm.
school board members, you don't have to have a legal background. You don't have to, I have this PhD. It has nothing to do with education. What you have
Mm,
to have is the ability to know that something doesn't smell right and that you
yeah.
need to find a way to find the answers. But when somebody says, well, there's a law, the best thing a
Hmm.
school board member can do is say, gosh, send a link to that law. I would love to read
Exactly.
that law because that's
Yeah.
verifying that they're BSing you.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
not only that, but you also need to let your board counsel know that they work for you and not the administration. So if you have a good board counsel, which we do, our board counsel is completely separate from the administration. He knows who writes and signs his check. So he
right.
knows who he represents and where he should step in and step out. So him and the administration's counsel is always at each other's necks because the council is trying to make us believe one thing, and our lawyers saying no, that's not what our board has. That's not what we're going to apply by. So it's always good to employ the right type of corporation counsel.
Yeah. But we are talking about this subject, about this bureaucracy. There are legislators all over the country starting to talk about doing away with school boards. And you think it's mostly about the money, or do you think that this layer of bureaucracy gets somebody further in this political game?
It's about the money and it's also about control.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because the reason why they want to do away with the Board of Education is because then the Board of Education, just with the address, I'm not sure, but you can go upstairs. I'm sorry about that. So I think it's about power, and it's also about the money. So the money is the root of the power with the Board of Education, because obviously, you have the right to appoint your superintendent. You have the right to set policy and procedure. Just recently, three of our socialist new trustees tried to change the dress code in our entire unaffiliate area to where it's no longer gender required. And so we have a couple of teachers that would have liked to have worn button-down shirts with ties and dresses. But because of our uniform policy, it doesn't allow them to do it. So they try to do away with it. But I ruffled up a quorum and voted against that, because what type of example are we setting for our scholars to see a person who, listen, whatever you do in your own time is your business. But when you're employed with the Board of Education from 9 until whatever, you apply by the policy and procedure that has been set forth by the governing body, which is the Board of Education. And this is the uniform policy. You will wear slacks, you will wear a button down, and you will wear a tie. You will wear a dress or a suit if you are a female. They were trying to do away with that when they could just come in whatever they want to come in with. And I believe that we're responsible for what we project to our scholars. And if we do not have some type of uniformity and some type of order, then they can't say when they go out on their own, oh, I never was taught that. They can say that we had a foundation and we had standards that we had to follow while we were under the umbrella of the Board of Education. So I believe that that's paramount. But this nonsense about them trying to get rid of these trustees across the United States is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, agreed. We still need representative government. Hey, whatever you're doing, it's shaking a lot. Is that your phone? It's shaking a lot.
Is it better? Sorry.
Yeah, are you in an earthquake zone or something? But exactly, if we do away with them, we simply have more unelected people who we can't, unelect. So
exactly.
No, it just should never be tolerated. Even that discussion, as soon as one of our legislators, if they brought that up, I would absolutely target them for a recall, because that's not constitutional. They swear an oath to support that doggone Constitution that gets in their way, but that's not constitutional what they're proposing. They need to get out of office. Some people shouldn't hold.
I would never be appointed. Like, I would never be an appointed person by elected official, because I'm uncontrolled. They can't control me. They would have to unappoint me, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Same here. Same with Corey. Go ahead, Corey.
It poses the question: if you're just going to appoint people, why don't you? Why even appoint a board? Like, just appoint the superintendent. Like, why even pretend like we're even having multiple inputs and values in the decision-making body?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why pretend we have accountability?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just said why pretend that we have some faux accountability, because it's just fake.
Yeah.
Why pretend there is any? There isn't.
Well, it's fake if the trustees allow it to be fake.
Right, but if they're all just appointed, they're going to be fake.
Oh yeah, they're going to be puppets. They're always going to be. They're going to show up for costumes and in the practice. That's all it is.
I call it an orchestrated seal show.
Yep. Hey, Councilman, how are you? How's everything?
You know what?
All right, good to see you.
I see you too. I thought you were security. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, so
you wouldn't have got in if I was security. Hello.
Okay, so you've got a good sense of humor. That helps too. I always tell my board members, just smile, small talk, do all of that, but know that your course is not going to change. When
he was one of our sitting council members.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, but your course is not going to change whether you're bullied or not. Whether they hand you,
and the most important, the great thing about it is that I'm not getting paid, so you can't tell me you're going to dock me if I don't do what you tell me.
So in New Jersey, you don't get paid to be a school board member.
Nope, it's a volunteer position.
So that's another subject that we have across the nation. Is some school board members, like in Florida, are paid as much as $70,000 a year, just like a legislator. Yes, just like a legislator. I don't believe we should have volunteers. Because again, I think they should be paid like every other elected representative out there. And if they're not, your paycheck tells you how much work is expected, right? So you get nothing. In Ohio, we get $125 per meeting. How many people are going to go do some homework on the topics on the agenda
for free
and not get paid something?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I agree.
insane.
Well, me, because I do it. I spend the whole weekend going over it. But I
You
agree with
just-
you. We should be paid. And
I was almost full
especially
time
not only that, but the teachers union spent on my election alone. They spent almost $1 million on my election.
to
The
get you
teachers union.
elected.
Yeah, to get me elected,
Yeah.
to volunteer to do the work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. Let me tell you, it's a lot of work.
So it is a lot. If you're doing your job, it's a lot of work. If you
It's a
show
lot of
up and
work.
just say yes and you don't even know what's on that agenda, please
Yeah,
resign. Please just go away because that you're a wasted seat. Give it to
absolutely,
somebody who's going to hold up that seat and say this community matters. These students matter, and
absolutely,
I'm going to make sure they get the education this community is paying for.
absolutely.
Right? That's where we are. So it sounds like we're on the same page on almost everything. Nobody asked what political side you're on. Nobody asked what side I'm on. We're on the side of the children, protecting
Absolutely.
their rights, protecting their academics, safety, and transparency. We just are about three things: academics,
There's no
safety, and
partisan when it
transparency.
comes to kids. There's no partisans.
No, we don't care. We don't care
Yeah,
what your politics are, but
I
please
think
do your
Corey's trying to
job.
jump in.
Yeah, I know. I talk over.
That's why I
Go,
told it fast.
go ahead, Corey.
The only thing I was going to ask is, can you understand then why a lot of people say it's not worth it when they're doing it for free, doing it voluntarily, and all of a sudden people start accusing them of ethics violations
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. Like, there's a lot of people that just check out because they don't see it as worth it.
Yeah.
And it's, but yeah, and I just want to also weigh in. Do you think maybe some of your police force gave you the value that you see in having a uniform and setting standards?
I believe
Or
it had a portion of it, but I've been working in politics simultaneously as at the same time as law enforcement. So like I know these people. I know the behind the scenes. I know what happens when the door shuts. I was privy to the conversations that they have before the votes. Like a lot of these people don't realize that when you have public speaking, it's a formality. They sit there and they listen to you, but the deal has already been made behind the door. So, at the end of the day, like I know these people. And the reason why they don't really mess with me too much is because they know that I know.
what do you think about that deal being made behind closed doors before or, the formal rubber stamping conversation that takes place in public? What's your take on that?
Well, that's politics. And I hate to say that is uh, it's actually the lining in politics, not just in New Jersey, but throughout in the entire United States. That is how business in politics is conducted. That's how congressmen conduct business. That's how senators conduct business. What they discuss behind the scene is not the same conversation they have in the public. There are deals made. There are negotiations made behind the scenes, and they come out as a formality, and they bring forth things, and they listen to the public. But at the end of the day, the vote has already been cast. So that is I'm sorry. That's the business. That's business of politics. How do I feel about it? I feel like it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's been going on way before I even got into politics. That is the that is the prescription for politics. That's how it is. And if anybody tells you, if any elected official tells you that is not the case, they are lying. And I have to admit, I have been a part of that. Like when I was negotiating my superintendent's contract, there were a lot of meetings that I had to have behind the scenes. There were things that I had to give up in certain other areas to make sure that we had a good superintendent. There were things that we had to negotiate, in order to do it. Like we had to negotiate funds and redirect money, just so that we can get that done. Everything is about a negotiation. Everything is about a conversation. And sometimes they're held in private and sometimes they're held in public.
Mhm.
That might be how the sausage is made in a lot of places, but we here at NSBLC, we've got a lot of members that actually come to school board meetings and say, listen, I'm not going to have these conversations behind closed doors. I'm going to have this conversation in this public meeting where it's supposed to happen. And we get back from administrators like, oh, you need to give them a heads up that you're going to ask a question. Well, give them the heads up, but ask them in the public meeting too, right? You know?
But you don't have to be, and I agree, you don't have to be a yes man in the closed door meetings because I'm not. sometimes and if those type of people, and I don't know if this goes in complete the opposite direction as to what your organization stands for. But if you have a trustee, and I can speak because I've been there before, a trustee that is saying that they don't want to have closed door sessions because they're not a part of the conversation anyway.
Mm,
Very
okay.
possible, very possible. But I think we're trying to encourage them to follow law. We've got
Yeah.
somebody in Ohio that has 35 lawsuits in the last year against school districts. Every time he even gets a glimpse of them knowing they've had a meeting before the meeting, because he will nail them on the Open Meetings Act. And he does.
No, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about closed session.
Oh,
A lot
close.
of
Okay.
conversation is being held in closed session, and
Gotcha.
sometimes we veer off. And of course, if I'm having a meeting behind closed doors, we're going to have a quorum. I'm going to have 4 other people there that we're going to have a meeting, and we're going to make a public announcement that we're going to have that meeting. But at the same time, when I mean closed door, I'm talking about not on TV, like not
I
on the
see. I
camera.
see. Yeah. I
So
see.
yeah.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
want you to
That's why
think I'm back there like in the
Okay.
Nixon room going through the cabinets with Nixon people and stuff. Like, no, not
Yeah. Okay. I understand now. There's closed sessions. That's what some states call it. And in Ohio, it's called executive session. Same thing. It's
Yeah,
closed to the public.
yeah,
It's announced. You go into it from the public meeting. Is that right?
hmm
In New Jersey?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you adjourn into a closed session.
And we
Or
were
you can,
talking about personnel, which is not a public matter. So
yes,
we'll close
yes.
session. So
Yep, exactly. Well, Dijon, it's been really nice talking to you. It sounds like we're
it
kind of on the same
has,
page, but
it has.
you gave me a path. I was thinking that these legislators were just doing what they're doing, bringing up, doing away with school boards because they want less elected people, because elected people can be influenced by the community, and their bureaucrats that they appoint usually are not influenced by
hmm
the community they serve. So I thought it was more about control, and you mentioned that. I did not go the money route. That's fascinating. I wasn't
Yeah,
even thinking that. That's
just a brief little interruption. So when I mean money, remember with a $1.3 billion budget, there's salaries. There are people that politicians want hired. We're talking about grants that have to be directed. We're talking about money that's put aside. Like I believe in my district, we have over $500,000 to $600,000 put to the side for nonprofit organizations that want to develop organizations for youth. That plays a part as well when it comes to money. So it is about money.
wow.
Yeah.
Corey, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Actually, he's making a really great point, Kelly, because what we see nationwide is in all these rural towns, especially, but even smaller towns, your school district is the largest employer in the area. And
Yeah.
he's making a great point there that there is a reason to have more control of the board, even when you're not elected to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
We're the top employer in Jersey City. We have
Yeah.
more we employ more than the city of Jersey City outside of the police department, the fire, and the health and human services. Because we have like right now, the city's budget is like $740 million. Our budget is 1.6 billion.
Mhm.
And the mayor
Yeah.
has to supply a police department, a fire department, and a health and human services. And those are just the 2 top departments that's required by statute. But we're talking about in the Board of Education when we just employ 6,000 employees, including teachers and support staff. And they are literally throughout the entire city. You see somebody that with the Board of Education uniform on, either teacher, support staff, maintenance, or administrator in the city. So we are the top employer in the city of Jersey City.
Yeah.
So it is about the money.
Yeah.
And our superintendent gets phone calls from elected officials because they want certain people hired, and she has to come through us.
Yeah. And I hope that she tells you, hey, this person's coming forward because of a phone call I got. Would that ever
Well, when you're
happen?
making $330,000 a year with full benefits plus tenure, I think you might want to get in contact with your board.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Right.
heck of a salary. That's a heck of a salary. I don't know anybody that makes that much money anywhere. I've never heard of anybody making
But
that
she's
kind
a
of money.
wonderful woman, and I would endorse her anywhere. She is very career orientated. She's about the scholars, And one of the reasons why I advocated for her is because she worked her way up from the bottom. She was a kindergarten teacher, and now she's the first Hispanic superintendent that we've had in the entire time of the Board of Education. So I completely support my superintendent.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
presidential salary.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds great. Dijon, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know you've got a program you've got to get to. We lost your picture. Did you turn it off? You still there though? I think we lost him. Dijon, are you still there? Nope. Sounds like we lost him. Darn. I know he has to get on to his, he's at a fundraising event. So he's got to get back to that. We really appreciate the time he gave us tonight. It sounds like when it comes to educating kids, we're on the same page. Board members, you need to get out there and do your job just like he is doing. Lots of school board members find the strength to say what needs to be said. Even if he said he spoke maybe too soon and he hadn't pulled his emotions out of it, it worked. It worked best for the children. They benefited from what he did. Okay. Corey, you have anything to close? Help me close?
Man, this was
No.
awesome.
Okay, I thought so too. Very good talk with Dijon Morris, school board member in New Jersey. So thank you everyone for coming on tonight. The webinar, I think, went fabulously. We'll be sending it around to all of our membership and promoting it on our Rumble channel. So you can go to our website and just put in probably just his name. I'm not sure how we'll title it. We might title it a couple different ways so that you can search in our search bar. Now we've added that to our website, making life a lot easier for people to try to find the topics they need to know more about. But I appreciate you coming tonight. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.